very good night, Papua New Guinea, and welcome to the first episode of Sports Scene for this year, 2023. I'm your new host, Isaac Leary, and I'm glad to be with you here on the show tonight. Tonight, we've got an interesting lineup for you. We've got the PNG Football Association Competitions Manager, Ahmjad Tekwie, and also we hear from the PNG Rugby Football League CEO, Stanley Hondina. And also, we speak with the NCD Dart Association Vice President, Anthony Kellab. But before we look into those, let's check out some scorelines from last weekend. In the scorelines from last weekend, in the fourth playoff of the National Soccer League, Gulf Comara FC lost to Lay Natives FC, 1-0. In the grand final, Lay City FC defeated Hikari United 5-3 in the grand final. And in the NCD Governors Cup, Vanu Dust 8 defeated H6 Knights 2 in the NCD Governors Cup. And also in cricket, in the Big Bash League, Pet Scorchers beat Brisbane Heat by 5 wickets. Yes, and this week we also caught up with the competitions manager for PNG Football Association. Like I said earlier, we met with him at the Sir John Guy Stadium here in Port Moresby, and he gave us his review of the recently concluded National Soccer League Grand Final. Right now we've got a special guest with us, the competitions manager for PNG Football Association, Ahmjad Tekwie. Hello, Ahmjad. How are you?
I'm good. Isaac, how are you?
I'm good as well. It's been a hectic weekend. It's been a hectic weekend last weekend with the National Soccer League Grand Finals here at the Sir John Guy Stadium in Port Moresby. I'm pretty sure it must have been a very busy schedule for you.
Indeed it was. We had just about less than a fortnight to prepare the stadium and the venue and get the teams in from Lay City FC and Lay Natives. They both arrived just after 3 p.m. on Thursday afternoon.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for the first time as the competitions manager, being in charge of a big grand final like this, just tell us about your experience, your personal take on the grand final itself.
It is. It can be a very demanding task, but if you have in place the right team with the right mindset and you do all the preparations as and where required, should be okay. Should be okay.
So viewers, that was Ahmjad Tekwie, the competition manager for PNG Football Association. Ahmjad, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me on the show.
We'll go for a break and come back. A very good night, viewers, and tonight we have a very special guest with us, the PNG Football Association Competitions Manager, Ahmjad Tekwie. Ahmjad, a very good night to you.
Good night, Isaac. Thank you for having me on the show.
Okay, Ahmjad, last weekend, a very hectic weekend, we had the National Soccer League Grand Finals, went down to the wire, and Lay City FC came out victors after the penalty shootout. As the competitions manager, just give us your review of the entire game.
Okay, so firstly, let me start off by stating that we had the teams flown in last week Thursday on the 2nd. Both teams got in at just after 3 p.m. They rested on Friday and were prepared for the game on Saturday. We did have our challenges, the unexpected showers between 7 and 9 in the morning, but we proceeded with the first game as per schedule, which started at 12 p.m. between Comara FC and Lay Natives FC. Lay Natives coming out the victors, 1-0. We had the main game at 3 p.m. between Lay City FC and Hikari United. And as expected, the match went down to the wire. Lay City FC coming out the victors at the end, winning on penalty shootouts, 4-3.
We also had a good turnout, a lot of football fanatics coming from all corners of the nation's capital to watch the game. Your take on the fans who turned out for the game?
We were very happy with the support of the community in and around Port Moresby, the football community. I'd like to thank the citizens of Port Moresby for and on behalf of my department and PNGFA for showing your support. And we look forward to receiving similar support in the next couple of weekends and the coming months ahead.
All right. Okay, let's jump straight into it. After last weekend's grand final, the National Soccer League, both sides will be going head-to-head once again, and this time in rainy Ley City in Morbe province. Just tell us about that game coming.
Thank you for that question. It gives me the opportunity to just do some clarifications. There's been a bit of talk on the social media and on other platforms as to where this concept came from and how we intend to apply it. So basically what is going to happen is there is a national playoff which consists of a home game and an away game. This weekend at the St. Ignatius Kilagi Stadium at 3 p.m. Ley City will host the Hekari United. Next weekend it's the return leg. Hekari United will host Ley City FC here at the Sir John guys. Okay, so this is a format which has been regulated and approved by our parent association, which is the Oceania Football Confederation. And as a member association, we are obligated to carry out these formats. Okay, there have been questions as to where these formats came from, so I'd like to just clarify on that. And there may be some concerns about lateness of the information being disseminated, from my department to the other stakeholders, the teams participating. Yes, we did circulate the information. However, there have been claims that we didn't do that, at least to the best of our ability. And I'd like to clarify that it's not just on PNGFA or my department. This is a responsibility that also belongs to the stakeholders. So the management, the teams, their media, they also have a responsibility to know these things. So we are not going to be here and carry their water for them. It's a mutual process. But we do recognize our culpabilities in this, and I'd like to make that apology. But this is where the directives have come from OFC, and we will carry forward, irregardless of whatever speculations there are out there. So I just want to set that straight, and hopefully this will answer any questions with regards to the national playoff format.
Thank you very much, Ahmjad. Thank you for the clarity there. And there you have it, viewers. Ahmjad Tekwie, the PNG Football Association's competition manager. We'll go for a break and come back. Welcome back to Sports Scene. So this week, Monday, we caught up with the PNG Rugby Football League CEO, Stanley Hundina, in a press conference where he announced the expression of interest for affiliates and associates for the PNG Rugby Football League. This area is very important for all affiliates and associates to comply with in order to benefit from the programs and insurances from the PNG Rugby Football League. In a press conference, this is what Mr. Hundina said. Check it out.
All of things why we are here today is to announce that we are opening up after 2 years of suspension of the competitions of rugby league. Well, we couldn't stop the people from playing rugby league. It's their own choice to do so. It has been happening, but not sanctioned through us. Last year and the year before, 2 years prior COVID, last year national general election, we had a press conference to say we didn't feel it was safe to conduct games given all these things and the risks that were associated with it. So we basically didn't sanction any competition. The advertisement that went out on Friday was basically the start of launching of rugby league calendar for 2023 coming back to normal. And you're all aware with PNG RFL 6-tier structure. So we've got the top tiers which tend to be more exciting. But I think this tier in the comp from PNG RFL and from the board is where it matters the most for us. This is where the mass numbers are. This is where Papua New Guinea is playing the game. Only a handful can be just in all arms. Only 30 boys go to the hunters. Digital Cup may take 300 an average. But where do the thousands of boys and girls play the game? At our schools, at our local leagues. That is what we call the most important year in our 60-year structure. What we are doing today is going out to the public and telling all our stakeholders involved, being leagues, affiliates, associates, major and minor, different categories that we categorize them under, that rugby league is coming back to normal. We are calling for expression of interest for local leagues to start getting on the road. We did it exercise 2 years ago when we launched the New Island model, a document we did to empower setting the provincial rugby league boards, confederate boards, regional boards, into program boards, and act of the whole of the game, holistic review in processes and systems, governance and administration. That has seen Kumuls becoming an independent entity, having its own board and people running it. Orchids being the same. Hunters being an independent outfit. NRLC, leagues alike. So part of that Professionalism Act is to get all affiliated leagues to properly affiliate. What we are doing is not something out of the blues, it's what the QRL and the NRL and the people, industry and the business that have been doing across. So all we are saying is express your interest to be part of us. You can only benefit from the benefits of coaching and updating and skilling pathway for players, coach and officials alike only when you are affiliated member. We as PNGRFL affiliate to the International Rugby League Federation. We affiliate to the Asia Pacific Rugby League so that we can be able to participate in the tournaments that they are. Our Hunters is affiliated to the OS Plus QRL Comp. The same practice. 12 franchises affiliate to the NRLC to partake. NRLC affiliates to PNGRFL as the mother body. All we are calling is all local leagues and school competitions to affiliate to PNGRFL. So in that way, there can be coordinated approaches that we can help them to get their technical requirements, competition documents, everything that needs to be done to get. So this is an act of graduating from being an amateur sport, which we were for a long time, into becoming a professional sport, doing things properly. We will provide the help that we can help, and all we are doing is implementing the New Island model. That's a document that has been public knowledge for the last 3 years. That is to get our leagues and schools affiliated properly. So we have coordinated pathways for everyone involved with the game. So that's basically what we are doing today. End of the month, we're having a workshop to launch the calendar, the annual calendar of PNGRFL that encompasses everything that we'll be doing for this 2023 year. Would be on another press conference, another announcement. But for now, the calendar will align to what we are doing today. There's an opening date and there's a due date for this. So respond to the media advert, come back in touch with our officers, and they'll be able to assist to get the affiliations rolling out.
And there you have it. That was the PNG Rugby Football League CEO, Stanley Hondina. And now we'll just go for a short break. Coming up next, we've got the Vice President of the NCD Darts Association. And welcome back to Sports Scene. So we've looked at football and rugby league, and now we'll take a glance into the sport of darts, somewhat considered as more of an entertainment rather than a sport. However, it is an interesting sport, the sport of dart. And tonight we have with us the Vice President of the NCD Dart Association, Anthony Caleb. Anthony, good night.
Thank you, Isaac. We appreciate the invite. It's not very often that darts gets invited to the show, so we appreciate it very much. Thank you.
All right. Okay, I'm sure there are a lot of people that take part in this sport, the sport of dart. Okay, just tell us, when are you guys kickstarting the competition here in Port Moresby?
So our pre-season starts on the 15th of Feb. It runs for 4 weekends, and we have our finals on the 11th of March. Then we have an AGM the following weekend on the 18th, and after that we go into our season proper. So that's pretty much the start of our season for 2023.
All right. Okay. Last year, NTD Dart Association had a massive presentation there at Sports Scene, reflecting to that occasion. Was a good year for the association?
Yes, we had to, I guess, make that decision for the greater good of our members, even though we did not make it to the nationals in Kavieng. We wanted to finish off on a high note, so just going on from that, we're more focused now and prepared on what we have to do in preparation for the next titles and any other sanctioned tournaments that the PNG Dart Federation has on their calendar, so that we were able to make our presence felt, so to speak. Yeah.
Anyway, that was last year. But this year, I've heard that there's some new and interesting events that are lined up for the NTD Dart Association. Anthony, can you just enlighten us on those upcoming events?
Sure. So we plan to roll out corporate darts. It's the first the association has ever hosted or organized. So we've pretty much broken it up into two time frames. One starts in May and runs for a 10-week period, and then the next one runs July, and that coincides with our finals. So we've pretty much aligned that together so that it's more strategic kind of thing, so to speak, where we bring him in to be a part of the association. At the same time, we have other interests, so to speak, that we can address with that kind of relationship. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure people are wondering if the sport of dart will be included in we've got the PNG Games coming up and the Pacific Games coming up this year. Is the sport of dart included in those big events, or it's just clarify on that, please?
Okay, I understand that the Federation is pushing for it to be included in the PNG Games, as well as the Pacific Games. Molean Kilapak, the PNG Darts Federation president, has indicated that he is pushing for that to happen. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping that, if that falls through, then darts will be a sport that will be represented in not just the PNG Games, Pacific Games as well.
That's right.
So, yeah, we're hoping that gets a nod.
I'm sure everyone that follows the sport of dart would love to see that particular sport included both in the PNG Games and Pacific Games as well. But when the confirmation is made, we'll find out. But with that said, Anthony, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming on Sports In. We really appreciate it. The first episode for 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Isaac. I appreciate the invite. And again, thank you for allowing darts to come and talk on the show.
Yes, thank you very much, Anthony Kelep, for your time on the show on Sports In. Now, let's look at some weekend previews. Sporting activities happening this weekend. In the local arena in Ley Morbe province, we've got the OFC Champions League playoff. That's a match between Ley City FC and Hekari United, and the game will kick off at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And in the international arena, that's in New Zealand, we've got the NRL All-Stars, where the New Zealand Maoris, Aotearoa, will be playing against the All-Star Indigenous players, and that should be a good one. They've got some classic NRL stars to feature in that game, so I'm sure you wouldn't want to miss out. And those are the previews. But if you have any stories to tell on Sports In, do not hesitate to contact us on 312-9229, or you can also email us at sports@mtv.com.pg, and we are based at Level 2, Garden City, Port Moresby. And that's a wrap for tonight on Sports Scene. On behalf of the entire Sports Scene crew, good night. God bless.